I want to do one last, if anyone wants to ask a question or make a comment, either to the traffic committee or to some of our guests. Roxanne, are you raising your hand? I've got Meg's got her hand raised. Okay.
I had a back and forth with Josh Cohn in the councilman's office because a number of years ago, the streets department made a presentation about putting a roundabout in East Falls, a little roundabout on Fox Street, and the neighbors supported it, and nothing's happened. And I asked Josh to inquire, and he said we would get an answer, and the community council traffic committee has asked more than once the streets department to tell us what the status of that project is. Is it going to be built or not? So Josh said we would learn that answer to that question this evening. I would like the answer to the question. Is that on the table? Is it scheduled, or has it been dumped?
So I'm not the best one to answer, but I'll do the best I can, Meg. It definitely still is on the table and is, on the list to be done. There's a gentleman named Gus Shearbaum who's on some of the emails that were asking that question, because I know that Ray or John or whoever had asked that question. So I had some, I'll just say, informal chats. So obviously he's the best one to answer. So basically that he put it this way, that there are temporary solutions and there are long-term solutions for the roundabout. There's a conversation to be had about the timing of short-term and long-term implementation of the roundabout due to the Coulter Street Bridge closure, which will be in 2023, I would assume, and the subsequent reopening, which would allow for the bus to relocate back to Midvale Avenue. And I mean, I guess it's been on Queen Lane for a decade or more at this point. So I think the conversation it had is that what can be done for a roundabout with temporary improvements until the time where you can do a more long-term improvement once the bus is relocated. Now that's just what I got. I can't really answer too much with what it would look like, but that is the answer that I got from Mr. Shearbaum.
All right. Well, that is something more than we've gotten. And I would request on behalf of the committee, and I'm sure the committee and community council would support the request, that we be kept in the loop and get responses when we ask questions like this. I mean, we have just been stonewalled. And there's if that's what's going on, then I think it would have been respectful of us and our safety and concerns to respond instead of ignoring. We shouldn't have to go to the councilman's office and ask him to intervene to get an answer.
Yeah, I just want to support what Meg has just said, David. I myself placed at least 2, possibly 3 inquiries by way of email to Gus, and John Gillespie also placed a couple of inquiries by way of email, and we received no response. So when we have no response, that just raises more questions than we had before we sent the questions to Gus. So it certainly would go beyond just simple good manners to respond. It would certainly be a practical thing to do so. At least give us some framework by which, don't forget, we're not asking this on behalf of ourselves. We're an advocate body for the greater community of East Falls. We're asking on behalf of the community, particularly among the people that the streets department asked to attend a charrette, I believe 4 or 5 years ago, in which, by the way, the streets department was extremely professional. They did a wonderful presentation, made an excellent effort educating people on the benefits of an implementation of a roundabout. And then once people were converted, because there were many skeptics among the residents, then nothing happens. Sorry if I'm laughing, but nothing happens for 4 years. So it would be wonderful to receive a response when we make the effort to make these inquiries. And again, regarding Henry Avenue, without being it further, I think it's only fair that the community gets some more quantitative information from PennDOT on these questions that we have raised. We don't do this arbitrarily or just to satisfy personal ego or what have you. As we said, and I want to thank Sarah Clark Stewart very much for her wonderful insight and her contribution to tonight's discussion. You really have contributed a great deal and helped us to understand the situation a lot better. But as I said, Pam and State Rep Derisha Parker, there are facets to the plan which do make good sense. There are parts to the plan on which we still have questions, and we're concerned about efficacy, efficiency, and reliability of these measures to significantly reduce the kinds of incidents, particularly, and as you know, as it runs from the Falls Center to the bridge, there is a pattern to the way these incidents do occur. In fact, I could share the photo library with you to show you exactly what the aftermath of all of these collisions look like. So there is a definite pattern. So maybe at this point, and hopefully there could be some kind of a follow-up strategy session, perhaps with the members of the traffic committee, and folks here are invited guests, by which we can get a much more, hammer out a much, as David said, there are long-term plans, there are short-term plans. Well, some kind of a plan that speaks to something somewhere on the horizon where we can see some authentic solutions to deal with these historical patterns of speeding and disregard for traffic. Roxanne, you made a very wonderful point about how people are not listening to their higher angels, or they're just disregardful of the rules. And as a retired school teacher, yes, I can say it's terrible to see that, but what can be done? How can we go back and educate folks to listen to their higher angels and obey laws the way they should? But it's sadly not happening. And so those are personal issues between drivers and their God. But again, we need solutions. And I guess, so can we get some kind of a follow-up session by which the traffic committee can meet, perhaps with members of PennDOT, Streets Department, perhaps with our elected representatives, and again, try to flesh out in long-term plans something that can really successfully address these issues?
Ray, I want to comment to that until this is in place, I'm not sure what we're discussing. We're happy to send to PennDOT to try to get up some backup material for the specifics that are there, but convening in 4 to 6 weeks, this is the plan. We need to give this plan an opportunity to be implemented, evaluate it, and then see what works or doesn't work. Nobody has a crystal ball here, but I have every confidence that these agencies are using standards that are well established and in fact well tested. If I doubted that, the entire, no pun intended, infrastructure for having faith in any aspect of bureaucracy would be non-existent. So I like to say we're always happy to meet, but I'd like the topic to be a topic that isn't a sort of review of what we have reviewed. That's why I asked staff to help pull together all of these interactions that have occurred. They have been, if there had been 1 or 2 interactions on this list, I'd say, you know what, maybe we missed something along the way, but we've had a lot of interactions. So maybe if we can refine what we're meeting about. And I would be happy to have a chat with you, refine what we're meeting about, and give you that confidence level, because I too am data driven. We're very happy to work with you to dig for that data. And just like you talked about with the roundabout, just tell us what's going on. Let's maybe focus on the data and what that means. And then we are pleased to have that meeting.
Representative Delissio, thank you very much. We always know in East Falls that we can count on your support for the issues that we care about for our community.